Welcome to Coaching Domination Show, where I, Ankit Ahuja, your host, brings you the insider knowledge and behind the scenes of the top coaches, trainers, and consultants. I publish interview of them so that I can show exactly what they are doing to succeed. I also share straight to the point tips that helps you get new clients, structure your business, sell your services, build your audience, connect and communicate with them, and more. So, ladies and gentlemen, continuing the tradition of bringing top class trainers on the show, today we have one of the best sales trainers based out of Bangalore, Anmol Garg, with us. Now, Anmol Garg, he's actually a software engineer who is now a founder of Sales 5X, a sales training and consulting company where they help sales teams with 21st century selling skills. Now, let me tell you, Sales 5X is Anmol's fourth company. He had three failed startups earlier, and instead of seeing them as a failure, he actually took it up like an opportunity to learn and grow. And you know what? He converted that into stand up comedy. He rocks at stand up comedy. I've been lucky enough to actually see him on stage personally, and he rocks it. His content is all about entrepreneurship, sales, and marketing. I will leave a link of his YouTube channel wherever you're watching this, and make sure to watch him and subscribe him. So Anmol, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ankit. Pleasure to be on this show and to be interacting with you. Firstly, thank you for the introduction. I love the way you went about it. Thank you again.
Thank you, thank you. So Anmol, let me ask you this. Being a software engineer to an established entrepreneur and now in business comedy. So what's the journey like so far?
It's been an interesting journey. Yeah. The way I describe it is a software engineer by chance, sales engineer by choice, and a stand-up comedian by passion. So that pretty much that summarizes the entire journey. It's been fascinating. It's been interesting. It's been a lot of learning. And for me, every day, I'm a kind of person who wants to learn one thing new every single day. And I think I've been fortunate to be on that journey where every day I'm learning something new. And yeah, no complaints, just loving every single part of it.
True, and in your LinkedIn, I read that you read 52 books a year. So you actually live by that philosophy of learning every day.
Yes, but this year I'm not on track. Matlab, been held up with a lot of things. But yeah, I think reading books has changed me completely. It's just that I took to this habit a lot later than I would have wanted. But yeah, last 2-3 years have been great in terms of reading, books on business, sales, spirituality. I think these are three things which really get me going. And I really believe it has changed me as a person because I've learned something new. When you listen to others, when you hear their ideas, it kind of opens your mind to possibilities which you thought never existed, right?
Absolutely. I completely agree to it. In fact, when I started my own coaching journey and when I started coaching people, at that time I realized that all of these things when we tell people, build a habit, read books, all these things when we tell people, it sounds so cheesy, but it actually somewhere it builds an inner belief. Let's say you have a learning habit where you're learning on daily basis. It builds a belief within yourselves that yes, I'm that kind of person who learns. I'm that kind of person who works hard on building a habit of learning every day. So that beliefs when people start having, that is when the other areas of life also start getting affected.
True, absolutely. As you said, change begins with you. So if you are ready to change, things around you also start changing.
Absolutely. So Anmol, I'm curious to know about your journey from a college a software engineer guy to why not in job, which many people do that, and why this entrepreneur journey and how was it? Can you can you throw
Sure.
some light on that?
Sure. Firstly, I don't think there's anything wrong with people doing jobs, right? अभी ये market में नया है कि that having a job is bad. It's not like that. Everyone
It is
has
not
their
like that.
own thing, right? सबका अपना अपना है. I know a lot of people are very happy doing 9 to 5 because after 5 they are on their own, right? They're
Yeah.
enjoying life that way. So in my case, I worked for 4 years with a corporate company, good money. The office was right next door. I used to work from home 80% of the time. So again, work from home is not new for me, right? But yeah, that was not my calling. That was not my calling. That was not something that, I was not happy, to be honest. Right? And you don't want to live, a life where you're like every day is like a struggle. Oh my God, I need to go to office. मेरे को ये करना है. And it's
Yeah.
somewhere I don't know, it was probably not the best phase of my life. But yes, I was quick to decide that, look, I need to, probably do something of my own. And a lot of ideas I had back then. So like, ठीक है, try करते हैं, let's see where this can go. So,
Okay.
that typical phase where you're bitten by the entrepreneur bug, but you still have no idea what you're actually doing. And then, yeah, I just took a leap of faith and jumped into it.
I love that phase when you have some idea, you want to test it out, you want to, do something out of your passion. I was into job for almost 14 plus years, and I can understand, there was 2 3 years where I was into this thing called, kuch to karna, I want to do something, I want to do something. And luckily for me, I was in that space where I could actually start my business while working full time in a job. So for me, I became in a very relaxed position where, the job was actually giving me that money and keeping my day busy, whereas my passion area, which I was trying to develop, was keeping me happy. Like, after work, I used to come and sit and work on that, and it was just keeping me happy, thinking that, okay, I'm doing something on the side which I really want to go for. Only in later phases, I realized that, okay, job was something which actually helped me understand the skill and the knowledge of what, to teach other people.
Right.
So
Right.
how was it for you? Like, okay, so you started planning that, you want to do something, and then what happened?
Yeah, कुछ plan नहीं था. I just took one fine day I decided, yeah, I can't do this anymore. Put in my papers and didn't tell my parents as well. So just took the leap of faith. And as you were mentioning, that typical honeymoon period where everything looks wow. Now you're a CEO. Now everything is going to be perfect, and this is going to be the next $1 million company. All those visions, right? Uh,
Deciding on your logos, working
absolutely.
on the
आधा
website, all those
आधा
things.
द टाइम लोगों पर ही चले गए यार. ये थोड़ा इट कैन बी
I
बिगर
know.
कलर font में मजा नहीं आ रहा. And you're like, you're just in that phase, where everything looks like a soap opera types.
Yeah, yeah, getting visiting card printouts, and even the stationery printouts, going on Fiverr, finding people who can do things for us. Oh God, I'm just reliving that time again.
मैं I think प्रिंटो का तो I was one of the loyal customers. 7 8 business cards, different names, same name, different designations, right? Different companies. वो बंदा भी सोच रहा है कि यार ये कंपनी चेंज करता है हर 6 months, right? So yeah, that was one phase. And then you realize that, look, things don't go as per the plan also,
Yeah.
right? So that's when I, as you said, 3 startups, all got busted, but every startup was a learning experience.
So what was it into? Like, okay, so your job was like into sales, or since you were a software engineer, was it technical?
No. So it was more around customer facing roles. Of course, in these 3 ventures, I had different partners, but I was always looking into the same side of things, right?
Okay.
But yeah, as a entrepreneur, you pretty much have to do everything. But at least all these 3 ventures, I was looking at more of customer acquisition, getting people on board, right? So yeah, again, one was of course into event space. Since I've been hosting a lot of events, I do a lot of team building activities, conferences, business seminars. So the idea was to connect corporate companies with event management companies on a single platform. Right now, that
Okay.
was a big assumption. Though the market is highly, not organized, it's very fragmented. I gave it a shot, but things didn't work out as per the plan because it's not a very simple transaction where a corporate just throws a requirement and someone picks it up. Like let's say a Fiverr, who wants to design a logo.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of complexity involved, so that platform didn't, really work out. My second startup was, called Flying Baba, which was into on-demand salon service for men, something which is the need right now. I still have my Facebook page, and a lot of people ping me asking me for appointments. When I can send a stylist home. So the idea was for men, grooming service at home. Great concept again. People loved it. In Bangalore, we had like, at least in the near Marthali, Sarjapur area, we had like a lot of customers on a single stretch. People loved the concept, but again, it was not financially viable. As in the ticket size, we would charge some $250 for a haircut, not enough for a stylist to actually, go to
Go
their
there
house
and
and
spend
cater
all
to
the
those
time. Yeah.
services, right? So backend May in terms of hiring, retaining, salaries, ticket size, the whole business model was not very feasible, so I had to give up on that. Third idea was called Beyond School, which was
Okay.
more of a subscription model for extracurricular activities,
Okay.
right? So instead of parents signing up, let's say for a dance class for their child, they pay 3 months fee. The child goes for 2 classes and they're like, no, I don't want to do it. Instead of that, we would tie up with all the activity partners, and we would offer a subscription service to parents. So they pay us, let's say, 2,000 rupees a month. We give them access to 6 sessions across any activity center.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a definite win-win for the parent, for the child, because they can explore a lot more things. But
Okay.
again, back end, it didn't work out because activity
Hmm.
centers wanted
Yeah.
loyalty,
Okay.
right? Like a guitar class doesn't want, some guy just coming in for one session and then he's not coming again.
All right. All right.
That's one. Second thing was they don't really want to expand. So they don't want a lot of customers, surprisingly, because it's run by, people who've been there, by neighborhood, houses where they have a small group of, let's say, 10, 12 kids coming in. They don't want to expand to an establishment where they have 50, 100 people. So unka ambition bhi nahi hai.
All right.
So yeah, interesting learnings all along.
So, what was your learnings from these things?
I put all the learnings into my fourth company, which is Sales 5X. But one of the biggest learnings was the fact that don't assume,
Okay.
right? Don't assume. Just like if you look at Beyond School, there was a big assumption here. Ki, why won't this idea work? This is brilliant. तो हमने app बनाना शुरू किया. We spent a lot of money. ये वो drama, and then we realized, look, activity centers are themselves not interested.
All right.
You say, acha, you go to them, you ask them, how's the concept? Ask them to pay, let's say $500 just to be associated with you. If they see value in it,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
within a month you'll find out, okay, where do you stand?
But you know what happens at that time? Sometimes your idea becomes so powerful in your own mind that you avoid looking for critical parts. In fact, I have seen some of the entrepreneurs, they start doing that mistake. So when I was coaching a person, so she had some like good ideas as to what to start. And when I told her to start going out and do some kind of market survey, she completely avoided that because in her own mind she's like, okay, she doesn't want the critics to tell her. So she completely avoided taking a survey even before starting the business. And I can relate that myself. My first business, which actually failed, I was also in that zone. Like, I don't want any feedback because people will tell me bad things about it, which I don't want to hear. I want it to be in a good zone. So I completely relate with what you're saying.
Right, right.
And
So
if
I think
you,
it's all that bubble जो हम लोग create करते हैं, like, wow, this is what humanity needs. This is exactly what people want. It's all in our minds,
absolutely.
right?
And
But,
giving reasons, even Steve Jobs never went to anybody has to ask,
हाँ,
the iPad will work or not. So even my idea is good.
हाँ,
So you reach
ये
that zone.
very good point, Ankit. I think ये society ने ये पूरा ये it's gone on the wrong side itself. कि drop out कर लो, will become Bill Gates. You gave Steve Jobs example. You are creating a market. Right? I think these are
Absolutely.
all exceptions, not the norm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? And then it's not that randomly Steve Jobs just said that touchscreen will be the next big thing. I think he would have studied a lot of consumer behavior, if not apparent. Not every time customer knows what they want, but they're constantly giving clues.
Yes.
Right? They're constantly giving clues. If customers kept telling that touchpad is not probably very comfortable, there's a problem.
Yeah, of course. And Apple actually spent millions of dollars on the research, and they were
Yeah.
not the first one to do this, but they were the first one to actually build around the customer requirement.
Right. Right. They came closest to what customers wanted. Otherwise, touchscreens were there on phones as well, but everyone thought, yeah, this is not what we need. So it's a lot more than just, waking up. Yeah, this is what the world needs.
Absolutely, absolutely, completely agree. So now, Anmol, from there, now how 5x, sales 5x.
Yeah. So then I was like, yeah, fourth startup. My brother-in-law is like, yeah, abhi to bahut ho gaya. Now you come to the US. So they stay in the US. There's Stanford very close by. Like you apply. Okay. Harvard is also close by. You apply. If not there are many universities. You apply. Then I was also a little bit down on confidence. Of course, once you have three startups, none of the things have worked out, and I'm not in my 20s, unfortunately. So I was like, yaar, abhi kya kare? And then I realized, okay, do I want to get back to a job? The answer was a straight no. Okay, so that's out. Higher education, I gave it a thought, but like, yeah, end of the day, I still want to get back to doing what I'm doing, right? So while it builds a network, there's no doubt about it. But do I really have, that 2 years of investment to go into build it up? I don't think so. So then I like, okay, if this time I want to do something, let's not make any of those mistakes. So I went back, studied what my core strengths are. Back in the days, about 10 years back, I used to run a public speaking training company.
Okay.
Okay, this was just after I left college and parallelly kind of with my work as well. And that was actually going very well, and that was actually my first business. But then we all partners fought, again, kiddish wars. Ye main karunga, wo main karunga. I want this control. So then I realized, okay, my core happens to be training. That's something that I've been doing for a long time. My core happens to be customer facing roles, right? And like, okay, if it's training, and then I realized there's a huge gap in India for sales training, right? There's a huge gap. A lot of good entrepreneurs, but still they don't know what it takes to bring a product into the market. Something that I was doing for my three startups as well.
Yeah.
So I knew there's a huge market, but this time I didn't jump the gun. I didn't like, okay, chalo, let's go back to Printo. Right? Luckily, I didn't do that. Okay. So I said, look, I first need to crack a deal. And I did. I cracked a deal within a week's time.
Okay.
I ran some Facebook ads, put up a name for the company, actually put Sales 5X, and actually got my first check in a week's time. I ran Facebook ads, met the guy. This company was into retail. Back then, I didn't have so much idea about retail, but I was like, shit, I will take this deal and then just figure out the whole thing, which I did. Right? And I cracked the deal and I'm like, okay, one down. Waited for two more deals. Cracked it in a month's time. And like, yeah, this stuff is working. Then bought the domain name, registered the company 9 months later. Okay, I've had a very bad side with legal. LLP किया है, sole proprietorship किया है, paid some 60,000 in fines, ये compliance, वो compliance. So legal also, like I know exactly what not to do.
A lot of learnings throughout.
Yeah, a lot of learnings throughout. So I knew that this. I got my co-founder 4 months after starting Sales 5X.
Okay.
Again, so didn't want to.
And you actually took the right timeline. Instead of focusing on the logo and the company domain and website, you actually did the other way around, focusing on the customer first.
Yes, focusing on what the core is. Again, I was not like, yeah, co-founder chahiye. No, I was like, focus on this work. Let's see, along the journey you will find someone. If yes, good. If not, you just keep going. And that's what happened. I met JD. I know, of course, for the last 5 years, he's got 25 years of experience in sales. But back then, I had not thought of he could partner me on this because we weren't so much in touch. And then, things just clicked, met him. He was kind of doing sales training. He's been doing it for long. So, and then he liked my ideas of, how we want to take this online and, how to set up the funnels, a lot of online stuff, which I wanted to implement. So JD was like, this kind of makes sense. So yeah, the two of us got together and then this has been an amazing journey. Sales 5X has been an amazing journey. At least I'm making newer mistakes. Let me tell you that, not what I made earlier.
Amazing. So what's the mantra of success for this company now? Like what are the things you did right?
So number one, no assumptions, right? Everything has been tested. We run a lot of experiments, different formats of training, seeing what works, what does not work. Right? So it's constant experimentation. I think that's been the philosophy and it has worked really well for us. Instead of, coming up with some kind of a product or service, spending 6 months and then kind of rolling it out, we were very quick to adapt. Very quick to take some bold decisions. Like we decided we will do online trainings a year and a half back.
Okay.
And we stuck to it. Like, look, we don't want to do offline. Online, we know is the future. So let's start. Even though we may have to break barriers, with people, online is also as effective. In fact, it's even more effective according to me. But to break the barrier of an typical Indian customer, we were ready for that. We took that call, and today we are, of course, Corona's unfortunately has been a blessing because our numbers have gone up.
Of course, now because everybody is now getting used to doing online things.
Right. Right.
Like even before, people who were spending like the whole day in the boardroom meetings, now they're spending the whole day doing like this, Zoom meetings. So people
Absolutely.
are getting so much used to doing Zoom meetings and seeing the result of it. I'm sure the training industry is not going to be the same the way it was before.
Right. Absolutely.
So Anmol, lot of since the audience are trainers, coaches, consultants, a lot of the trainers they actually struggle in their initial phase. I mean, I remember when I wanted to leave my job and start doing trainings, I didn't know like the ABC of corporate training. Like, how do I get my first customer? Also, luckily for me, I found a company where they enrolled me for freelancing training, and for some time I was doing freelancing sales training. So I was also into sales training. Uh, but any advice for those people who are like struggling, who are like starting, like one-off training in 1 2 months? So what advice for them? What they should do?
I would like to say that training and the business of training are two different things altogether,
Okay.
right? I'll say that again for emphasis: training and the business of training, right? Just because I'm a good trainer, let's say on time management, I'm a sought after trainer, this is something I've mastered.
Yeah.
But converting that into a
A
business, if I
business.
have, yeah, converting, if I'm working for an organization vis-a-vis me starting a company which is around time management training, two different skill sets altogether, right? So if people are watching this podcast and they are jumping into it thinking that, okay, I know everything around time management, so I'm sure I will be able to add value and get business. ऐसा होता नहीं है, right? Because uh, getting clients into your funnel, adding value, nurturing them, converting them, it's a very different skill set,
Absolutely.
right? So that's what my advice would be, to look at it not in terms of the core skill, looking at it from a business perspective. For instance, let's say I'm into the training of artificial intelligence. I don't have to know anything about AI.
Yeah.
I can start a training firm on AI, ML, blockchain, whatever, and it's completely possible that I may know zero. I have zero knowledge about any of these, but I have that business acumen,
Yeah. And
right?
a lot of successful entrepreneurs they actually do that.
Yeah.
They start a business because they feel there's a need, and then they get the people to get things done.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you look at all the big business houses, yeah, they get into pharma, they get into telecom, they get into education. It's all money. You just throw money, set the right team,
Absolutely, absolutely. In
right?
fact, I like to share something here, a story. I just recall that story, how it changed my perception and how it actually enabled me to become successful in my own trainings. So there was a time when I was struggling many years back, and I was working really hard, like on daily basis. If you really see that time, I was slogging. I was working from morning to evening, trying to reach out to some customers, doing some, trying to go out meet some customers, or giving out trainings or creating contents or things like that. But I was still not getting the results which I was expecting. So I reached out to one of my mentors and I said ki, that I feel like it's lonely up top. When I'm an entrepreneur, I don't have a team right now. I'm just solo. So can you be like a virtual boss for me and guide me in that direction? Like, I'll create goals, you analyze, do the analysis for that. He agreed to it. In our first meeting itself, he said write down your like write down the goals for your company. So I said, okay, Ankit Ahuja. Then I wrote down my goal. And he said, no, don't say Ankit Ahuja. What's your company name? So I said, okay, my company name is One Up Leadership Academy. He said, okay, write down One Up Leadership Academy. Write down the company's goal. Now you are in the role of a director to make sure that the company achieves this goal. And that clicked because because I have been into corporate job for such a long time, that coming from a job mentality, in a job, how is it like? The company gives you the work, you do the work. Although I was into sales, I was doing sales, like I was going out meeting the customers and everything. So the company was giving me work, I was doing the work. Now the same thing I have to put it here, because my mentality was like still job mentality. Now when I look at it, saying that okay, now I have to play the role of a director, and as a role of the director, I have to achieve the company's target. So it's not my goal, it's the company's goal.
Right.
I'm just in the role of helping the company achieve that goal. So that was like a light bulb moment to me. And whenever I'm actually off my goals now, I actually look at that, saying that okay, don't look at that I am failing. Look from a perspective that I'm letting the company fail. So my role is to let have the company achieve its goal. So when I look from that perspective, it's a completely different thing when I think like that.
Yeah, I think you brought out a very important point. Love the use of certain phrases. It's not me, it's my company. Thin line of difference. End of the day, it's you running it, but thin line of difference, which can actually make a huge difference in the way you execute things. So that's one thing I would tell all trainers, coaches listening to this. Second, of course, is 80% of your entire business is marketing. End of the day, right? आप जितने भी अच्छे हो, end of the day, how many people know you? Right?
Yeah, I
Given
think
that the product is fairly good, of course, if the
yeah,
product is very weak, then more people know you, more of them know that you're bad, right? But given that most of the coaches fairly bring good value on the table, it's can you outdo the other person in marketing? As simple as that.
yeah. So what about a person who's, let's say, very good at coaching in their segment? Now, what should they do regarding sales and marketing?
Right. I think that's where that learning phase starts for them. Right now, how do you generate leads online? I believe you do a lot of work in that space. Right? So they need to reach out to people like you instead of reinventing the wheel because you already know the process. Step one, step two, step three, step four. Set up that funnel, right? And their focus should be on that, right?
Absolutely.
So they need to basically invest in themselves, get trained by people who've done it before, right? And just replicate, just modeling success, as simple as that.
Absolutely. So, guys, what Karan said, outsource it, find the right person, learn, still learn. Don't just blindly outsource everything. Learn the skills, learn the knowledge about it. You should have that kind of knowledge so that nobody just takes you out for a toss. But then
Right,
once you have that knowledge, find the right people who can actually do the work for you. If you are, let's say, if you're a spiritual coach and you're really good at your teachings and helping people spiritually, then focus on that. Don't start learning digital marketing or even sales from the scratch. Find the right people, understand the knowledge how it works,
right,
but then give it out to the right people so that they can do the job for you.
right.
So, Anmol, what have been your personal mantra for success?
Personal mantra, well, I'm someone who's, to be honest, I don't have these down moments, when I'm feeling, yaar, kya hoga. That's because I train my mind every day. And that's my biggest uh, strength right now. Okay.
That was my next question to you actually. Like, what do you do every day? What's the secret for productivity, performance, habits, rituals? What are you into?
Yeah. So I train my mind every day. Ideally, after I wake up and before I go to sleep, I visualize success. I visualize abundance. I get into a zone where I'm not worried, kal kya hoga.
Okay.
Corona happens, economy shuts down. I'm not worried, to be honest, because I have that belief that things will be good. Okay. I
Okay.
have a belief that the universe wants you to succeed. I
And
try to tune to that kind of frequency.
I'm curious to know what do you do exactly?
Hey, nothing. It's just feeling good. See, end of the day, there is no magical process. कुछ एक wave आएगी and then sudden. No, nothing. It's just closing your eyes and feeling good. Let's say you achieved what you wanted, you set out to achieve. Can you match that feeling right now? Because it's scientifically proven. This is not some mumbo jumbo I'm talking. I've been researching on this for the last 7 years. I read a lot of stuff around this. In fact, at least 40% of my reading is around this stuff, basically how the mind works. So your mind can't distinguish between what is real and what is fake. For instance, there was
Absolutely.
a study done at Harvard itself where two groups of college students were divided. One group was asked, in fact, three groups. So, first group was asked to play basketball, and the free throw line is there, right? Keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting. Second group was asked to not touch the basketball at all. Third group was asked to just visualize them holding the ball and the ball going in. They don't have to touch the ball, but they have to visualize, okay? Guess what? The first and the third group had a similar performance rate, when the actual, the drill happened. And of course, the second group was nowhere there, right? So your mind cannot distinguish. It cannot distinguish between what's real and what's not there. So, I feel the key to, keeping a very healthy mind is just visualizing that success. And a lot of people say, "Arey yaar, wo sab daydreaming hai." No, your core needs to believe in it.
Yeah.
Why doesn't it work for everyone? That's because they are thinking, I'm rich, but under like, oh shit, wo mere ko bill pay karna hai yaar. Damn it, mero rent kaise jayega? That's where positive thinking doesn't work, because positive thinking is just it's inside of your core, right? And that's the inner voice tells you that.
Absolutely. And
The heart, yeah.
sorry. Continue.
No, that's all. So till at what level is your muscle memory in sync?
Absolutely. Completely agree to it. In fact, even one more reason why people actually fail at this is because people don't have that kind of focus on one thing. Like today, I will feel that, okay, I want, if I earn success, probably, I'll go for a vacation. If I earn 3 lakh rupees, probably I'll go for a vacation. Then next month, I'm thinking, yeah, my goal is actually 5 lakh rupees. Probably I'll buy something else. The next month, I'm thinking, this month, I just need 1 lakh rupees. So even the thinking, the visualization, the goals, they are not congruent. They keep shifting here and there. And if you just like, Rajiv, how he says, so Rajiv, my ex boss, what he says is the 3 a.m. test. Wake up people at 3 a.m. and ask them whatever, like ask them what's your goal, or ask them who are you, or ask them what's your profile. And if people give you the right answer, then that is what they are actually practicing. And many of the people actually don't know. Like it has happened with me when I was actually just starting my business. I didn't know what to say when people ask me, what do you do? Should I say I'm in a job and I'm running this business, or should I say I'm running this business and I'm in a job? So that confusion is also what makes you not able to think and visualize yourself there.
True, and I think it's part. I was that person 2 years back before I started Sales 5x. I was exactly that person. If you ask all my friends, I was that guy. Morning, I would wake up. I would change two things: one underwear, one my startup idea. Right. So that was me. That was me, and I think it's fine. It's fine. मतलब उसपे people like kind of say I'm depressed and I'm going, oh my god, अरे इतना seriously मत लो. No one is taking you seriously, to be honest. Right. So it's part of the game. I think from confusion comes clarity, right? And if you're in that phase right now, it's okay. Ride that wave, but still visualize the success, and it will come to you. It will come to you. As simple as that.
True. So now coming to sales, what first tell me, what do you do in Sales 5x? How do you actually help people? What is their inside? Some secrets, share some secrets of how actually trainers, coaches, they can do right now, what they can do right now to grow.
Sure. So what we do is we work with entrepreneurs largely, who have a very small sales team, typically 5-7 people, and they've done well so far in their business. Now they want to go to the next level. So that requires a lot of training for the sales team. It requires a lot of training for the owners themselves in terms of the sales pitch, the sales process, sales strategy. So this is primarily the work that we do. And what we have seen is when we do a lot of role plays, the thing is, if you're a trainer, don't get into this training mode. In every 2-hour session, I speak only 20 minutes of my training.
Okay.
That's a rule that we have at Sales 5x. We don't want to talk. जितना हम लोग बोलेंगे उतना वो लोग कम सुनेंगे. Right? So focus is on getting them to do. So maybe I'll introduce a new concept. Okay. And I will talk about how it works. And then I need to shut up.
And let them say.
And let them say and let them do it. Let them do role plays.
Okay.
Right? Works for you as well. You get actually paid for 20 minutes. That was an inner secret. But anyways, I think it actually works for clients. If you look at all our testimonials, most of them are like, this has worked for us because we actually implemented it. Right? And the best way to do something best way to learn something is to do it, is to teach others. Right? So that's where our focus has been in all our sessions, to get them to do it.
Okay.
Right. So in all our programs, if I can share that, since you asked for the secret, all our assignments is I give them, a certain direction, a line of thought. They now need to pitch their product to all the other participants.
Okay.
Using that.
Okay.
So, and they have to upload call recordings.
Okay.
80% of the work is done there only. I introduce the concept. Now let's say I have a batch of 10. So everyone is going to pitch 9 times.
Yeah.
By
So
that
the
person
practice is also
goes,
happening. Yeah. The feedback is also
absolutely,
happening. Yeah.
absolutely. By the time the person goes to the ninth call, he or she would have understood all the mistakes they made. Okay. And then that itself is the game changer.
Amazing. 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 So if anyone wants to work with you or to, to check your services, what they should do?
You should pay us money. That was on a lighter note. But yeah, I think the best is you attend one of our free webinars so that you get a better understanding of who we are, what we do, and then of course, then you will be introduced to our paid programs, and if it makes sense, yeah, we should take it forward from there.
Cool, cool, cool. And any tip for trainers, especially trainers, because you are into training world. Any tip for trainers from a sales point of view, what they should do?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of trainers don't also come from a sales perspective. They may be yoga trainers, who are very new to sales. And I think it's very important for you initially to develop that sales acumen. As Ankit mentioned, the idea is not for you to do sales forever. You want to establish a sales team, but you still need to learn those basics, right? And what we have seen is a lot of trainers, they are just too passionate about their product or whatever service they have, and they just go talking about it continuously, right? You're not able to understand what's going on in the customer's mind. So you need to develop your skill set so you decode that psyche.
So how do they do that?
So again, that's where the whole training program is based, but I will try to do justice to this question. Number one, don't have, like, if you have a PPT which goes on for 40 minutes, don't go for 40 minutes. Throw the first 2 points. So Ankit, do you see value in this?
Yes.
Okay, I will now probe you on these points. I will try to gauge, is this connecting with you or not. I will not make it a monologue. I will not be so passionate about that amazing USP which I think is there, but you don't find any value, right? So what happens
Yes.
is you do that 40-minute presentation. Customers are like, yeah, sure. Let me talk to my partner and get
I'll
back.
come back to you.
I'll come back to you. Like, sure. When can I call you? And then the whole thing starts. And instead of that, my idea is, in those 40 minutes, I need to know what's going on in your mind. That's my objective.
Yeah,
Okay. And see, the real sales pitch starts when the customer objections start,
absolutely. If the
right?
customer is not objecting for anything, that means he's not yet sold.
That means he's watching a movie.
He's just letting you, he's being nice to let you show him whatever you want to show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're under the impression that, hey, I did an amazing job at this presentation. I didn't forget any sentence. This is what I prepared. This is what I delivered. Great sales pitch.
It happened with me also. When I was into sales, I was in Africa that time. So there was a really big orders worth millions of dollars at WHO. So all the WHO officials, they were sitting in the boardroom. I went like full with swag. I opened my laptop, connected with a big, screen, and I gave like 40 minutes. I was actually going on and on with all everything because I had everything figured out. This is what they need. This is the product. This is the feature. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And after 40 minutes, they were like impressed. Ki, wow, amazing presentation, good skills, you are good presenter, you have good communication skills, all that. And I was like super happy. I came back and I told my boss, I rocked it. Like 6 months I had to follow that order again and nothing came out of it. I was thinking, what's happening? But this is what it happens. It should be a two-way communication. Definitely it has to be a two-way communication. And I feel, somewhere people has to reach at that place stage. It cannot be that, okay, at the first sales call itself you're going and you're trying to have that communication. I'm sure, you will understand the customers, you'll understand the benefits, you'll understand the features, and then this will come. So any tips on that, how like trainers, especially when they go for corporate meetings, then what kind of homework or what kind of things they should do so that now they can actually avoid this question of I, will come back to you later.
Yeah. So one was, when I mentioned that, try to understand what's going on in their mind. Okay. Which is, you don't do the 40-minute whole thing. You basically ask redundant questions, which is typically, do you see value in this? Do you want me to explain this feature in more detail? Uh, do you think we are getting, somewhere close to what you wanted? Right. So then I know there'll be some objection coming out. Right. So that's one. Second, of course, I need to know if I'm talking to the right person. Now, what happens with a lot of salespeople is, they reach out to someone and then lastly B2B deals, they just pitch, they don't qualify. Do they have the budget? Do they have the authority? Do they have the need? Do they have what timelines do they have? So all this is very critical information which they need to get in the start, not in the end. Right? I don't want to spend 3 weeks with you and realize your budget is only 1/10 of what I charge you.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm very straightforward. If anyone pitches to me for, if I'm pitching to anyone for sales training, first thing is the budget. Right? If we are good on the budget, I move forward.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend even 1 hour explaining, how great we are, and then we realize there's no budget on the table.
Absolutely.
Right? And Indian clients will dodge you. No. First, you tell me what you have. Why should I give you the budget? So you need to have the skill to, counter that.
Yeah. And, many times the customers are not many times, always the customers feels that they are very smart and they will try to dodge all these questions. They are meeting vendors day in and out. So they know how to, negotiate, how to come out of this question, come out of that question. So you need to build that rapport with the customer where you're like, okay, we are at the same level. It's not like we are in a war of pushing each other. We have to work together. If we have to work together, let's be honest and sit on a table and talk like a professional friend.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it, Ankit. I think many people don't do that. They don't bring themselves to that level. And it's the salesperson who's at fault here. You yourself consider that, you are at a level lower and everything has to be dictated by the customer. Right? And then you just keep playing that catching up game.
Absolutely. Do you teach visualization exercises to the sales people who you train?
Not really, because the thing is, if I need to build sufficient rapport for them to believe whatever I say.
Absolutely.
Because what happens is, if I start this visualization gyan, they're like, oh my god, you should again Baba, Guru aa gaya, ye fake Guru aa gaya. So they don't, because there's so much of wrong information, right?
Absolutely.
मैं आपको बता दूं, a lot of people say law of attraction doesn't work, this and that. I know, you sit in front of me, I'll tell you where you're going wrong. It's because I've attended a lot of these workshops, okay, and it is your inner being, right, which needs to believe in that, right? And so if I work with someone who I know is now really into it, then I bring in visualization. Otherwise, I don't think it's a good idea, because people don't take it seriously. They think this is some kind of mumbo jumbo gyan, right? Yeah. So it depends on the client. If they are interested, they kind of believe in it, then it makes sense. But I don't want to be a doctor who's prescribing when the patient's not ready.
Yeah, true. Has it happened with you in a training where okay, let me rephrase my question. Tell me awkward time from your training session, or any place where it was a funny moment from your trainings which happened.
Oh, we have a lot of fun here. That I would say, see, anyways, I do a lot of stand-up, and my clients also know I'm into stand-up, so they are prepared, and it's a lot of fun. हम लोग तो मतलब, we keep the ambience in such a way that there is a joke at least once every 5 minutes.
Okay.
Right. So it's not that serious types. It's a lot of fun. And because it's a Zoom call, someone will be coming in, going out. So that's a lot more humor as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I like to keep it fun, man. I like to keep it everyone laughing. If they don't laugh, I become uncomfortable.
Okay. So did you had that kind of time where like it was uncomfortable for you, nobody was laughing, and it became very serious, anything like that?
No, I set the tone itself like that. See, it's again the setup. I say that, guys, if you're not laughing, you're not learning. So I'm subconsciously kind of getting them to make sure they're having fun.
Probably you should upload one of your internal training sessions online to see for people outside to see what's happening inside.
No, yeah, nothing, no magic wand or anything. It's just that I keep the environment very light, right? Matlab, कुछ भी मतलब जो भी interaction, lot of interaction happens. It's both ways, and then you pick on some things here and there. Sometimes they make fun of me as well, right? तो हम लोग एक बार sales के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. Then I was giving them some information about how you need to act a little pricey. Then the conversation went to dating,
Okay.
right? Because it's all about who's
Yeah, yeah.
showing that they don't need that other person more types,
Yes.
right? So we went to Tinder. उसमें half an hour तक discussion चला, but everyone got the point. Like, it's not that it's not relevant. So yeah, it's just fun. And I think if you're not having fun in your trainings, you're doing a disservice to your clients, because learning happens when the environment facilitates learning, which is a fun environment any day.
I completely agree. In fact, now if I recall, most of my good customers who used to give me regular orders, I used to have like a good fun rapport with them. Like, they were my friends. And only when I joined QL Quantum Leap and when I saw Rajiv's training, that's when I understood that, what he used to say, casual is the new formal.
Right.
Like, don't be too casual, especially for sales, especially in a sales thing. You need to have that kind of, relaxed and friendly demeanor where, you actually become like a professional friend with your customer.
Right.
And if you take it too seriously, then the customer even, won't be able to open up or build rapport uh, with you. Uh, so yeah, that's a good advice actually. Just have fun what you're doing, and you can actually move ahead and put your mind in that zone, because when you're not stressed out, when you're not very serious, when you're in a very relaxed environment, that is when you're actually able to think straight.
Right.
So Anmol,
Absolutely.
any challenging moments from your trainings? Any
Oh yeah, there are
challenges you faced?
many challenges. There have been times when I was caught off guard. There have been new industries when we take up trainings to understand the industry. I remember when I was dealing with a pharma company, I didn't have much of an idea of how the sales process works. So uh, yeah, that was the challenge. So I had to go do research, and so yeah, a lot of challenges that way. When you're yourself trying to figure out stuff.
Okay. And any inspiring stories from your trainings, from your stories?
Whenever a customer sees results, that's the most inspiring part. So we just wrapped up another batch of our star program, which is a sales transformation results program. So pretty much everyone's cut checks, which is 5x their investment of what they gave us.
Wow, amazing.
And we have all that on record, in the sense people actually send snapshots of those checks. So,
Amazing, amazing.
yeah, I think nothing beats that.
Yeah, yeah, true. In fact, clients' success stories is something, which just keeps inspiring. And, I have been into coaching, and whenever the graduation time came and when they shared their stories, a lot of time I saw myself in tears just by, hearing their success stories throughout the coaching journey. And
Right.
that's the biggest inspiration for me today, that if I'm helping someone and if they achieve success because I have helped them, that
Right.
actually makes me feel successful.
That is,
Like,
I
I'm
feel,
in
the
that
true.
journey of success.
That is the true definition of success. If that testimonial means whatever you stand for is validated, right? And there's no such feeling. See, money you can earn in thousands of ways. Okay, and there's never a problem with earning money. It's just that when you get validated for what you do, that feeling is unparalleled. That's unparalleled.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree. And Anmol, you read so many books. First of all, let me ask you, how do you manage your time? Second thing, any recommended book?
First thing is I'm not married, so
Yeah.
that takes care
Okay,
of
that clears up.
that clears all the confusion around how is it that I can still read so much. But by the way, I read a lot of audiobooks when I used to drive around Bangalore. So the traffic. Now I miss the traffic though. But उसमें से
That's
by
why you're
the way,
not able to continue your habit recently.
actually that's the logical answer. You're right, Ankit. Why don't you not keep reading? That's right. Because in a week you will spend every day you will spend at least 1 hour wherever you
Yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So yeah,
Bangalore
1 hour. And
traffic.
every book is close to 8 hours on average listening time. So 7 days a week, you're almost done with the book.
Nice, amazing. So, what's your recommended book?
Recommended book, my all-time favorite has to be Influence by Robert Cialdini. Uh, that's a one book, which I love. Also, Extreme Ownership.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a book which I read about a year and a half back, and I simply loved it.
So can you share why do you like these books? Can you share some thoughts from these books?
Sure. So probably Jocko Willink, which is he was in the Navy SEAL, right? In the Iraq War, which America fought. So he talks about the concept of extreme ownership, where whatever happens, end of the day, you are responsible,
Yes.
right? So he talks about this incident where they were trying to bring the enemy down, and uh, they realized it was not the enemy. It was it was their group only, because there are so many groups together who are fighting, right?
Yes.
So it's called a blue on blue, when you fire against your own friends, right? So that happened. Luckily, no one lost their lives. They found out earlier that, look, it's the same guys. So then the whole uh, things went crazy. The big meeting was called. How can this happen? How can this happen? And then they're like, who's responsible? So the first guy stands, he's the sniper. He says, I am responsible. I took the first shot. I should have done this. I should have done that. Then this guy Jocko Willing, who's the head of the thing, stands up. It's my mistake.
Yeah.
Every bullet that comes from one of my guys' guns is my responsibility. Right? So that changes your whole concept around leadership. Right? That if you're willing to go to that level and take responsibility, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting ideas like these. Right? All this while I was thinking leadership is, you do your job, and if someone's not doing it well, you probably reprimand them, or like, you don't take the responsibility. You still have to reprimand. There's no doubt about it. But can you
Yeah.
take the responsibility?
Yeah. True. In fact, in the current situation when everybody is on remote, leadership is actually the definition of leadership is, uh, I'll not say change, but I'll say it's evolving too. And I see now, a lot of people are actually looking for these kind of things, saying that, okay, how do we manage remote places? How do we actually still get the work done in a qualitative manner while being like this? So I'm sure concepts like this, like these, are going to actually help the leaders of future.
Right. Absolutely.
And so now, uh, what's your dream? What's your mission? What's your vision, Anmol, from here?
From here, one of course is I want to scale up Sales 5x. We've done pretty well in the past. I think time has now come to just go to the next level where we impact more businesses. So we are on track. That's with Sales 5x. Personally, in terms of my stand-up, looking at a Netflix show 2 years from now.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's on the cards. I want to have a reality show on entrepreneurship, Indian TV.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah, that's been on my mind. So I have a lot of ideas, and so I'm building that personal brand so that people take me seriously. I have some very interesting ideas around entrepreneurship, media, people. So I want to execute them.
Amazing. Amazing. So, Anmol, we've already crossed 1 hour discussing. I didn't even realize. But
Same here, yeah.
I still have my question, which is the big question from you. How do you actually build your online brand? No, not online brand. How do you actually build your personal brand?
Right. I think firstly is to understand what you stand for. Okay. So it takes time for you to figure it out. And I think out of all these years, I've kind of figured it out. One, of course, is is the training area where I want to establish my authority in sales and the marketing field. So I want to be known for anything related to sales and marketing in terms of ideas, concepts, theories, right? Impacting businesses. There's also the creative side to me, which is now coming out through stand up. So number one is to understand what is this brand going to be built on. And I think that's the toughest part, right? Because who are you end of the day? What do you want to be known for? Right? So that's the tough part. The easier part, of course, is social media. You've got to consistently produce content. Right? When I say easier part, it is easier compared to, what the first part of the problem, which is what you stand for.
Yeah. For some
Right?
people, they're stuck at the second part also.
Yeah, a lot of people, in fact, are stuck, but at least you made some movement in terms of, deciding that niche. Okay. And then, of course, content, end of the day, you've got to produce good, consistent, quality content.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I want to add a point here. There are times, I was in a situation like that where you don't know that what you really want to be known as in future, because
right.
you have not tested yourself much to understand that what you are good at. So at that time, even if you're not completely 100% sure about that, still start producing content. The reason is because when you start producing a content day in and day out, you will start publishing more, then you will have to find things which you want to speak out for. Then you will start seeing a pattern of the things which you are talking more about. Let's say if, when I started doing it, I was more comfortable talking about, let's say, these five things. Okay, let's say sales, marketing, digital marketing, sales funnels, online stuff. So when I started seeing my contents, these are the topics which I was actually speaking out daily basis. And in that process, somewhere down that process, I found my own voice.
Mm.
I found that what I am comfortable in talking to, what is that thing which I can actually spend hours talking about comfortably? What is that something which I want to tell people about, which people where I see a gap in the market, and that's actually became my own niche. That actually became, and from there I started doing, like, creating my own personal brand.
Right.
So even so, this is a tip for everybody who's watching. If even if you're not sure about the first step, as Anmol said, the first step is more difficult because many people are not sure about that. It's a process you have to go through. Still, just continue and start doing the step two, because while doing step two, you may find
Yeah.
the step one.
Right. Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. I think that's the stage everyone has to go through. Uh, no doubt about it. Just 1 minute, Ankit. My dad's just knocking on the door. Just a
Sure.
minute.
Yeah, Anmol, we are back.
Yes.
So Anmol, actually, we came to the end of it. I hope all is okay at your place.
Yeah. Yeah. All good. All good. All good.
Okay, okay. So now my last question to you is, how are you coping with the current situation, and what advice do you have for other trainers and coaches in the current situation?
Right. So number one is again, I don't know which sector the coaching is in, right? But on a very generic level, I think it's a good opportunity to stop, pause, and rethink on your strategies. Right? If you're someone who's always been offline, it's the right time to move online. There's a lot of emphasis on uh, uh, getting customers online, delivering these sessions. So I think a lot of this is going to move online. A lot of offline is going to move online. So get ready for that. You need to change your mindset completely. There's a famous meme which goes like, what brought about the digital transformation in your organization? It is the COVID, right? So use this as an opportunity to understand how to go online and rework your strategies, and yeah, and keep a positive mindset. I think that's what's most crucial.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Anmol. Thank you so much. And we have come to a end of this. It was a good time talking to you. I mean, I didn't even realize that we have passed so much time just talking to you, and discussing these tips and secrets. So thank you so
my,
much for being candid. Yes,
my
Anmol.
pleasure, Ankit. You've been a great host. I think I've always respected you for that, your ability to bring the best out of any person. Soft spoken and still you're so warm. So yeah, something to learn from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anmol. And guys, if you're watching so far, make sure subscribe to Anmol. I'll leave all the his links below. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll leave the links below. If you're watching on the podcast platform, then still in the description side you will find Anmol's details, his website name, and his LinkedIn and YouTube channel details. Make sure to go and check out his comedy videos, because he's like killing it. He's doing an amazing job on that. So Anmol, all the best for your future, and may God bless you, and uh, uh, with the strength and the mindset of achieving all your goals.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ankit. I wish you the same. Let's stay in touch.
Thank you, Anmol. Bye bye. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.